Alright, here's a short video on tape diagrams. So tape diagrams are what we called thinking blocks in one of the earlier labs. So depending on the curriculum you're using, they use different names like strip diagrams, bar models, etc. So I'm going to stick to this term, right, calling it a tape diagram. And it's mainly because the model you use looks like a piece of tape. So I'll make a couple of comments here as I solve these. So this week I'm going to ask you, first of all, I'll do a couple of problems and then I'll ask you to solve some on your own. So let's look at the first problem. So Jim has 360 stamps. So what we do is we start off with a piece of tape like this. So these are Jim's stamps and we know it's 360, right? So you can show that. So he sold a third of them on Monday. So I'll do another piece of tape here, break this into threes. So this is Monday's, right, that he sold. So the nice thing is 360 divided into 3 parts. That's pretty easy to calculate. So you'll get 120 for that. This one is also 120, but that was Monday's. And then it says he sold 1/4 of the remainder, right, on Tuesday. So that's this section here. 1/4 of it. So it's already in half. So what we can do is break those in halves as well. So the only way for this to make sense, right, for these two to be 120, each one is 60. So you can say Tuesdays looks like this, and each one is 60. And then I think that answers the question, right? How many stamps did he sell on Tuesday? 60. So I want to stop and pause for a second here just to notice how little work this really involves, right? We're just building that model. We're not using algebra. We're not writing down an equation. We're just using the number relationships in the problem, right, to solve the problem. That's really how it works. So let's do this one here. So Max has spent 3/5 of his money, right, in a shop. So I'm going to start again with a piece of tape. Now this one is already different because it's saying Max's money, right? So they don't tell you how much that is. So that's a little different than the last one. But it says 3/5. So I'm going to break this into 5 parts. 5 is kind of hard to do. It's pretty decent there. So 3/5 of the money is gone. So I'll sort of highlight that. And 1/4 of the remainder, right? So pretty similar to problem 1. So what I'm going to do is to take this remainder and break it into 4 parts. So it says 1/4 of the remainder is in another shop. So I'll highlight this. This is the other shop. And then it tells you he has 90 left. So the 90 is right here, these 3 bricks. $90. And then I think you can see how to solve this. So if these are 90, then each brick here is going to be $30. And it asks you how much did he have initially. So one way to think about this, I'll go back to the tape diagram. We had 5 parts to start, so I'll highlight this here so we can see the 5 parts. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? The 5 parts. These two here will give you $60 because each small brick is 30. So one way you can solve it is you can take $60 and times 5. And that will answer that question, right? How much he had initially. Right, $300. Okay, so same comments as number 1, just looking at this model, and you get a nice solution. So we'll do one more. This one is also about money. So we have Jan's money, and we have Lena's money. So 3/5 of Jan's money is twice as much as Lena's. So I'm going to do this one a little bit differently. Let's look at Jan. So I'll call that J for Jan. 3/5. So again, I'm going to break this into 5. So we have 5 parts. So 3/5 of Jan's money. Looks like that. And now it says this is twice as much as all of Lena's money. So Lena's money looks like this. So you got to be careful when you do this. So Lena's money, since this is going to be half of 3/5 of Jan's, this line here is going to end up right at the middle of Jan's second box. Okay? And then the question is, what fraction of Jan's money is Lena's? So here we can draw a couple of extra lines. So because this hits at the midpoint, right, you can break that in half. And then I would be inclined to bring this down as well. And then also break this in half. Because now what we can see is Lena has 3 of these small boxes. And then you could say, how many of the small boxes does Jan have? So one way to do that is to take each larger brick and make 2 of them, like this. Right? So we're comparing apples with apples. So now you can see Lena has 3 of these, even though we don't know the value of each one. How many does Jan have? She has 10, right? Because originally we had 5, and then we cut them all in half. So then it says, what fraction of Jan's money is Lena's? And you can see it by our relationships here. Be 3/10, right? So this is a different kind of problem because we're not really being asked for the number of stamps or the amount of money. It's just saying, how do the two quantities connect, right? What's the connection there? And so Lena has 3/10 of Jan's money.